the hidden impact of a messed up childhood, why it's still hurting you. What if I told you that the person you are today, the way you think, the way you react, the things you fear, the dreams you chase or abandon is still being shaped by a past you barely remember? What if the things you struggle with most, your inability to trust, your fear of failure, your self-sabotage, your constant need for validation, aren't random flaws, but symptoms of a deeper, hidden wound? The truth is, our childhood isn't just a memory, it's a blueprint. It's the foundation upon which everything else in our lives is built. And when that foundation is cracked, unstable, or poisoned by trauma, neglect, or emotional starvation, the effects don't just go away with time. They linger. They shape us in ways we don't even realize. Think about it. The way you handle stress, do you shut down, explode, or numb yourself? The way you interact with people, do you trust easily, or do you always expect betrayal? The way you talk to yourself, are you kind, encouraging, confident? Or is your inner voice filled with doubt, criticism, and self-sabotage? These patterns didn't appear out of nowhere. They were programmed into you long before you had the ability to question them. And that's the terrifying part. Most of us never question them at all. We go through life thinking, this is just the way I am, without realizing that the way we are was shaped by forces outside of our control. Forces we had no say in. Forces that molded us before we even knew we had a choice.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
But now, you do have a choice. The question is, will you take back control? Or will you keep living out a script that someone else wrote for you? The first step in breaking free is understanding how deep this goes. When we talk about a messed up childhood, people often imagine extreme cases of abuse, abandonment, violence. And yes, those experiences leave deep scars. But trauma isn't just the big, obvious things. Trauma is also the absence of what we needed. It's growing up without love, without stability, without feeling seen or valued. It's being taught that our emotions are too much or not enough. It's being placed in an environment where survival meant shrinking, pleasing, or pretending to be someone we weren't. And when that happens, we adapt. We develop defense mechanisms, ways to protect ourselves from pain. Some of us become perfectionists, always chasing achievement in a desperate attempt to prove our worth. Some of us become people pleasers, putting everyone else's needs above our own, because we were taught that love is conditional. Some of us become emotionally detached, shutting down completely because feelings were never safe. And some of us become self-destructive, subconsciously sabotaging every good thing in our lives because deep down, we don't believe we deserve happiness. These patterns don't just affect our personal lives, they shape our entire existence. They determine the relationships we attract, the opportunities we pursue or reject, the risks we take, the dreams we allow ourselves to have. And if we don't recognize them, if we don't challenge them, they become our prison. A prison built from the echoes of a childhood that is long gone but still very much alive inside us. But here's the most painful truth: no one is coming to save you. No one is going to rewrite your past, undo your wounds, or give you the childhood you deserved. No matter how unfair it was, no matter how much you were hurt, no matter how much you wish things had been different, the past is done. And the more time you spend resenting it, the more power you give it over your future. So the real question is, what now? What do you do with this knowledge? How do you break free from a past that still haunts you? How do you unlearn the patterns that are keeping you stuck? How do you become the person you were meant to be, not the person your childhood forced you to become? Breaking the chains of the past, how to rewire your mind and reclaim your life, understanding that your past is still shaping you, is only the beginning. The real battle is in what you do next. Because here's the hard truth: awareness alone doesn't change anything. You can know that your childhood conditioned you to fear abandonment, to seek approval, to sabotage your own success, but if you do nothing about it, that knowledge is useless. If anything, it becomes another burden, another excuse, another reason to say, "I am this way because of my past," instead of asking, "How do I change?" And that's where most people get stuck. They identify the problem, they see the patterns, they even recognize how their childhood still controls them, but they don't know how to break free. They wait for something external to change. They hope that time, love, or success will somehow heal them. But healing isn't passive. It doesn't happen just because you want it to. It happens because you make it happen. It happens because you make a conscious decision every single day to challenge the old programming, to rewire your brain, to stop being a prisoner of a past you never chose. But how do you do that? How do you unlearn something that has been ingrained in you since childhood? The first step is realizing that your thoughts are not facts. Just because you feel unworthy doesn't mean you are. Just because you fear rejection doesn't mean you will be rejected. Just because your mind tells you that you are broken, unlovable, or doomed to repeat the same painful cycles does not mean that any of it is true. These are echoes of your past, not reflections of your reality. But if you believe them, if you accept them as truth, they will become your reality. This is why self-awareness is not enough. You have to interrupt the patterns. You have to actively question every negative thought, every self-sabotaging action, every time you hesitate before claiming what you deserve. You have to catch yourself in the act and say, "Is this really who I am? Or is this just who I was taught to be?" And then you have to choose differently. You have to act in opposition to the voice in your head that tells you to stay small, to play it safe, to avoid discomfort. Because every time you do, you weaken the old programming. You rewrite the script. You begin to prove to yourself that you are not trapped by your past, you are in control of your future. But this is not easy. It takes time. It takes repetition. It takes failing and trying again. Because your brain will resist. Your old patterns will fight to survive. Your comfort zone will try to pull you back. And this is where most people give up. They expect healing to be instant, to be painless, to be a straight path forward. But that's not how transformation works. It's messy. It's uncomfortable. It requires you to sit with the pain you've been avoiding, to confront the wounds you buried, to face the reality that no one else is responsible for your healing but you. And this is the moment where you have to make a choice. Do you keep living as a product of your past? Or do you take control and start becoming the person you were meant to be? Because no one is coming to save you. The childhood you wished you had will never exist. The parents who failed you will never undo the damage. The apologies you never received may never come. And that is unfair. That is painful. That is something you have every right to grieve. But after the grief, you must decide, will you let your past define you, or will you rewrite your future? Because here's the truth, you are not your childhood. You are not your trauma. You are not the wounds inflicted upon you. You are not the voice in your head that tells you that you are broken, that you are unworthy, that you will always be the same. You are something more. You are something greater. But you will never step into that power until you stop letting the past control you. So what does it take? What does it look like to fully break free, to not just be aware of your wounds but to heal them? What are the exact steps that turn pain into power, that transform suffering into strength? Turning pain into power, the art of rebuilding yourself from the inside out. Healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about transmuting it, taking what was meant to break you and using it as the raw material to build something indestructible. Most people think healing means forgetting, moving on, pretending it never happened. But that's not healing, that's avoidance. True healing is looking your past directly in the eye, acknowledging every scar, every wound, every moment of pain, and saying, "You do not own me." It's about taking back control, reclaiming your story, and deciding once and for all that your past no longer has the right to dictate your future. But how do you do that? How do you take something as heavy as childhood pain and turn it into strength? It starts with a simple but radical shift. Stop seeing yourself as a victim. That doesn't mean denying what happened to you. It doesn't mean pretending the pain wasn't real. It means refusing to let that pain define you. Because the moment you see yourself as powerless, you become powerless. The moment you believe that your trauma is stronger than you, it wins. And you are not here to let it win. You are here to break free. And that begins with rewriting the meaning of your suffering. Most people go through life believing that their pain was pointless, that their suffering was just a cruel twist of fate. But nothing in life is meaningless unless you allow it to be. Every wound you've endured, every lesson you've learned the hard way, every moment of loneliness, fear, or rejection, it has all given you something. Resilience, depth, understanding, a perspective that most people will never have. And when you stop seeing your past as a curse and start seeing it as a weapon, everything changes. Your suffering becomes your strength. Your wounds become your wisdom. Your scars become proof that you survived. But here's the key: transformation is not passive. You cannot wait for time to heal you, for closure to arrive, for someone else to fix what was broken. You must be the one to do the work. And that work is uncomfortable. It means facing the parts of yourself you don't want to see. It means confronting the emotions you've buried, the fears you've avoided, the truths you've denied. It means breaking patterns, letting go of toxic attachments, unlearning everything you were taught that keeps you small. And it means making choices, hard choices, daily choices to act in alignment with the person you are becoming, not the person your past created. This is where most people fail. They want healing to be easy. They want someone to give them a step-by-step guide, a shortcut, a guarantee that if they just do this one thing, they will never feel pain again. But healing is not a straight line. It is messy, non-linear, and often brutal. There will be days when you feel like you've made progress, only to be triggered by something that pulls you back into old wounds. There will be moments of doubt, of fear, of exhaustion. But those moments are not signs that you are failing. They are signs that you are doing the work. Because healing is not about never feeling pain again, it's about no longer being controlled by it. And that is the ultimate goal: freedom. The freedom to live your life on your terms, not as a reaction to your past. The freedom to trust, to love, to take risks without fear. The freedom to look at the world and see possibility instead of limitation. And the only way to get there is through. Not around, not over, not by pretending, but by walking straight through the fire and emerging on the other side stronger than ever before. So how do you sustain this transformation? How do you make sure that this isn't just another temporary shift, but a permanent evolution? Becoming unbreakable. How to make healing a way of life. Healing is not a destination. It's not something you achieve once and then never have to think about again. It's a lifelong process, a daily commitment, a way of living that requires constant awareness and effort. Too many people treat healing like a finish line. They think that once they've confronted their past, broken a few patterns, or had a few breakthroughs, they're done. But that's not how it works. Growth is not linear. The wounds of your childhood may never fully disappear, but that doesn't mean they have to control you. The goal is not to erase the past, it's to build a life so strong, so full, so aligned with who you truly are, that your past no longer has the power to define you. But sustaining this transformation requires a shift in mindset. Most people approach healing as something they do when they feel broken, when they hit rock bottom, when they have no other choice. But real healing, the kind that lasts, happens when you make it a daily practice, not just a reaction to pain. It means choosing, every single day, to live in a way that supports your growth. It means surrounding yourself with people who reflect your highest potential, not your old wounds. It means enforcing boundaries that protect your energy, even when it's uncomfortable. It means feeding your mind with thoughts that empower you, not thoughts that drag you back into old cycles of doubt and fear. And most importantly, it means learning to trust yourself. Because the greatest damage a painful childhood does is that it teaches you to doubt your own instincts. It teaches you that love is conditional, that safety is temporary, that you must earn your worth. And when you carry those beliefs into adulthood, they manifest as hesitation, as self-sabotage, as a constant fear that you are not enough. But here's the truth: you have always been enough. You were never broken. You were never unworthy. The only thing that was ever wrong was the story you were told about yourself. And now, it is your responsibility to rewrite that story. This is where true power comes from, not from pretending the past didn't happen, not from waiting for someone else to fix you, but from deciding right now that you are in control, that you are not the same person who was hurt, abandoned, or made to feel small, that you are no longer at the mercy of old wounds, old fears, old conditioning, that you have the power to create a life that is yours, on your terms, free from the ghosts of a childhood that no longer has any claim over you. But this power is tested in the small moments. When you're triggered, do you fall back into old patterns, or do you pause, breathe, and choose differently? When fear creeps in, do you let it paralyze you, or do you take action anyway? When the voice in your head tells you that you are not enough, do you believe it, or do you replace it with a voice that speaks truth? Because that's what healing really is. It's not just the big breakthroughs, the deep conversations, the moments of realization. It's in the daily choices, the quiet battles, the decision over and over again to not let the past win. So here's the final question: who do you choose to be from this moment forward? Not the person your childhood shaped, not the person your trauma convinced you to be, but the person you were always meant to become. Because that version of you is waiting. And the only thing standing between you and them is the decision to stop looking back and start moving forward. For today, right now. Because your past may have shaped you, but it does not have to define you. Not anymore. Not ever again.